So I'm first in the tag team. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. By way of introduction, I'm the CEO of Tomra Cleanaway, which, as the name suggests, is a joint venture between Tomra and Cleanaway, which is the network operator for the New South Wales Container Deposit Scheme. And it appears that I'm blank up there too. So I'll have to entertain you myself here. Cleanaway would be well known to most people in the room. We've had a number of presentations from representatives from Cleanaway during the week, but well known across Australia as leading waste management and resource recovery business. Tomra, the other joint venture partner, may not be so well known. Tomra is a Norwegian headquartered business, a multinational that is a world leader in reverse vending and sortation technologies. So together have formed a joint venture which is the network operator for the New South Wales Container Deposit Scheme. I did have a video here to show you, like my Queensland counterparts. Maybe if we get this up and running, we'll be able to show that. But the intention was to show you some of the activity that goes on at our counting and sorting centres. In terms of the network itself, very proud to report that a world-class container deposit scheme has been delivered in New South Wales and delivered in really record time, taking up the point that Alex made earlier. The scheme commenced in early December 2017, and we are very quickly closing in on 2 billion collections. 2 billion collections we are very confident of reaching by the end of June this year. So that equates to a run rate this year of about 5 million collections per day, and on the very, very busy days we are collecting towards 7 million containers on any given day. No, that's not me. That one's been done. I thought it was done quite well, but we don't want to hear it twice.
Which one are you? This? Hang on. This one?
Yeah, that's that. All right, excellent. Okay. So let's go again. Now, what I've got here is I'm going to share a very, very quick video if I just step back. This is a time-lapse video that was taken in December at the end of last year. It shows a week at the Eastern Creek Counting and Sorting Facility, which is the largest facility of its type for the Container Deposit Scheme in New South Wales. It's taken over the course of a week, and I need to put this in perspective because some of the people in the room may have seen this facility, but I talk about the pile, which you will see. Now that pile, which is the centre of the video here, I estimate would probably fill this room in itself 3 or 4 times. And it's a pile of lightweights that have come into this facility to be sorted and prepared for eventual reuse. So I'll just quickly play this. So that's a facility that runs 24/7. That video itself was prepared to celebrate the 1.5 billionth collection in March of this year. So some of the stats that were called out there are a little out of date because, as I mentioned earlier, we are very quickly closing in on the 2 billion mark. So just picking up what I was discussing before, in terms of the network itself, as Alex alluded to, the reverse vending machines, or the RVMs, which are centred on Tomra technology, really form the backbone of the network. They handle close to 80% of all collections. The busiest machines are handling up to 35,000 collections in a given day, which means that Cleanaway is clearing those machines 5 or 6 times a day to keep them up and running. Interestingly, the average transaction at a reverse vending machine is less than 100 containers per individual. It's close to the 75 mark. In terms of total collection points, there are nearly 650 across the state. If I just talk to the automated depot side of things for the moment, the automated depots represent around 10 to 11% of total collections in terms of the numbers. And at the moment we have 24 up and running, of which there's one in Coffs Harbour. And we've got another 2 that are very close to coming online. We've just celebrated the opening of 2 additional automated depots, one in Wagga and one in Newcastle. And automated depots are designed to take really high volumes of containers in an efficient manner. Just recently, for the first time, the automated depot network across the state collected over 1 million containers in the day. So the third type of collection point that we have in the New South Wales scheme is called over-the-counter collection points. These are really more generally found in remote and regional areas, although they have a very important role to play in metro areas too. And the over-the-counter collection points represent around 9 to 10% of overall collections. Supporting the collection point network is a very extensive logistics network which is operated by Cleanaway and runs across the whole state. Some of these Cleanaway vehicles are covering over 400,000 kilometres per annum per vehicle on some of the remote regional runs. So that is a very, very complex logistics network. In some areas it's subcontracted containerised volumes that are supporting the over-the-counter network in remote locations such as Wilcannia, remote locations in the far central west of New South Wales, for example. Underpinning the entire network is obviously a rich stream of data that Alex touched on before, and it's really pleasing to point out that there's over 300,000 users that have downloaded the Tomra app. Now, the Tomra app is one way of accessing real-time information about scheme performance, and the other way is via the Return and Earn website. And what we have is an API that feeds the real-time data into both these access points for the benefit of the citizens to see what is going on in terms of scheme performance. The headline story for the New South Wales CDS network is that it is built around technology. The entire network is embedded in what we see as leading global edge technology. One of the key characteristics of the network is the consistency of user experience. I touched on before that 80% of collections are generated via the RVM network, and a reverse vending machine presents the same way in Sydney as it presents in Dubbo, the same way as it presents all up and down the coast. So we've really seen high levels of user acceptance, which Peter Bruce will be touching on shortly, high levels of support from the community, and they're very convenient and easy to use too. As a network operator, one of the great benefits of this scheme is the availability of real, accurate data in real time. The famous catch cry in logistics, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. We have a really rich stream of data coming through, which allows both Cleanaway and Tomra and ourselves as the network operator to keep a very close eye on the performance across the network and respond very quickly if bins are filling, respond very quickly if there's technical issues to ensure that we maintain the very high levels of network uptime which Alex touched on earlier. The real-time dashboard that you see there covers the entire RVM network and allows the network to be managed in real time. So it's highly responsive, able to dispatch resources where they're needed to respond to fill levels and ensure that the uptime and the user experience is maintained at very high levels. Tomra Cleanaway are responsible for running the call centre, and there's just a couple of key metrics there in terms of performance since the scheme has commenced. You'd find a 1-800 number on the front of all RVMs, and they come through to the Tomra call centre. The centre is open 7 days a week, receives a lot of calls, and we're very pleased again to report a very high level of grade of service, over 90%, which we're very pleased and we're very focused on to continue to improve. Again, our call centre is very closely tied into the operations centre of both Tomra and the ops centres and customer service centres from Cleanaway. So it's the three parties working in concert to ensure the very high levels of access and uptime performance across the scheme. In terms of the commodity that is generated via the scheme, that's a snapshot of the amount of clean commodity that has been generated across the entire New South Wales CDS since scheme commencement in December 2017. In terms of the units, what you'll find is aluminium makes up roughly 40% of total volume captured, but obviously is a lot lighter than glass, so hence the reason it's not reflected in those high numbers. But in round numbers, we see 40% aluminium, 30% glass, and 30% plastics, with some smaller materials making up the 100%, namely liquid paperboard there. Headline story there, all of the materials that are generated through the New South Wales CDS are destined to be recycled, And one of the benefits of the CDS scheme is the very clean, non-contaminated nature of the product that is being generated. So, as a rule, notwithstanding some of the glass issues that have been mentioned a couple of times through the week already, there's a very, very keen market on all of the products that are being generated. So with that, I will pass across to Garth, and I think the intention is we will come back together for a Q&A at the end of this.
What are the chances my slides on? I did throw them on a USB as well, just in case. Those are absolutely phenomenal numbers. I've got to say that 1.8 billion is that is a really, really big number. It's very, very, very impressive. I'm going to talk about our operations in the ACT, which is a somewhat smaller jurisdiction than New South Wales. I'll also touch a bit on what we're doing in other parts of the scheme. So I guess a lot of you already know Re.Group. We come to this as a recycling company. We didn't have a single technology that we wanted to use. We took the approach of, if these new schemes are coming, what do we want to achieve with them? And I guess the fundamental thing, if New South Wales is a technology-based network, what we wanted to do was really enable a social enterprise outcome. We really wanted to bring a human element, which I guess we've always recognised is part, not all of the scheme, but that was the part that we wanted to really specialise in. We do have a lot of social enterprise partners. So of our sites, we currently have 14 sites in the ACT, unless anyone from the ACT wants to tell me we've opened another one today, but they are still opening as we go along. So I think we're on track to have more than 20 by the end of this year, so we're ahead of the targets there. We have opened over 100 sites, so I think Glenda said 250 sites on the 1st of November, so over 100 of those were return at sites we opened. Over 95% of our sites, or over 90% of our sites, are with social enterprise charity partners, and that's been a very deliberate decision. The whole way that we designed the scheme and the bag drops is very much around how do we create an easy way for other people who might not be able to participate normally. How do we create an opportunity for them to participate in the scheme? In New South Wales, we do operate one of the automated depots in Queanbeyan. We also assisted in the build of the sorting facility at Eastern Creek, which is I love that time-lapse video. It's a very impressive facility. In terms of the return formats, they are sort of expanding, but we'll talk generally speaking. We have what we call a depot. I guess the fundamental distinction for us is a depot is where the refund is paid out. It's where the containers are actually counted, verified and paid out. We have a lot of over-the-counter depots. I'll show some pretty pictures, so I won't talk through it. Generally standalone operations, although some of our partners have those integrated within some of their other operations as well. The Express is a bag drop service. The idea of that being that convenience for people who might not want to stay around, the $3.70, they might not be desperate to get that right now. They want it back, but they'd rather drop it off and have it in their bank account a few days later rather than stand there and do it on the spot. So those express points eventually feed back to the depot. So it's a hub and spoke type model. In terms of express points, it's a beautiful picture there. So that's I think opening day in Canberra on the left and opening day on the right. So again, the very deliberate approach was how do we create a system that can be easily integrated into an existing retail environment where people, and particularly charities and social enterprises, how do we make it easy for them to be involved? The answer to that was around a technology system so that we can have a really, as everything, the easier it is at the front end, the harder it is behind the scenes and in the back end. So there's a fair bit of smarts that go into being able to walk in and type in your mobile phone number, or in Queensland type in your scheme ID and print out a barcode that then links through to your scheme ID and ensures that the money's in your account. Our focus was small footprint, so you're talking literally 1 or 2 square metres in the front of the stores, just trying to maximise the number of places that this could viably be there. And again, trying to bring those charities and social enterprise, everyone has a focus on that. We wanted it to not just be a donation recipient, we wanted them to play an active role in the scheme. So they get a payment for every single container that goes through there. So a consumer can still get their 10 cents back and the charity still benefits by going through that system. So that's the way that we've designed it. I won't lie, working with third parties is always introduces challenges, and some of the groups have been easier to work with than others. There's certainly been some challenges, introducing in such a big new scheme, particularly Queensland. A great challenge to have from a business perspective, but I think some of our partners were overwhelmed with the response on day one. They had a lot of containers turning up, which is, from our end, we're going, great, you should be extra happy now, and they're saying, no, this is a bit harder than we thought. So we've had a few challenges with that, but we are working through it. Slight variation on that, and this is, I guess, in response. We are a company that continually evolves. So we've developed some pods. So we had a few stores for exactly that reason, that were getting overwhelmed. They had more containers coming in than they could handle, and they've gone, this is a bit hard for us in store where we are. So we've developed a sort of a shipping container pod, same functions. You can go into a car park or wherever. Clearly I like the branding in the background of that one. The purple looks so good with that blue. But these have been dropped into some car parks and around the place. So they're sort of a standalone solution, but again, people going through reasonably quickly. Mike's chasing me from behind. That's one of the depots, so we have multiple depots. We do ask our customers to do a bit more work than some of the other depots. So people come into these depots and they sort their containers by material types onto the trays, and then we pay cash at the depots or credit to bag accounts. The focus there has been trying to make them, really nice retail environments. It is cool. It's cool when you go there on a weekend and you've got, families with their kids are coming along, and it's a nice experience, and everyone, feels safe and happy and friendly. That said, there's different formats, and we've got a few other sites now where we're going to more of a drive-through model, where people are doing less work and getting through the sites a bit quicker. So again, I think that continual evolution and changes as you go, I think, is an important part of what you need to assume is going to happen. Mike, if I stop now, can James answer a question, or us?